Hey there, greetings everybody. Welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are, favorites. Back doing that second part, or part A, or part B actually, part B of my favorite 50 progressive rock songs. This is part B. So we'll be doing from number 25 to number 1. For those of you who don't know what we're doing, I'm picking 25 of my favorite progressive rock songs. Actually, I'm picking 50 of my favorite progressive rock songs. I did part A last week, which was from 50 to 26, and today we're going from 25 to 1 in reverse order, from worst to first. No more than 3 songs per band. Some bands won't get any because they're still fairly new to me, so it's tough to pick a song you really like right now and put it in your top 50 of all time when those other songs have been around forever. It's pretty hard to gauge those two. So for the most part, I haven't done that. I've tried to stick with stuff that I've had some familiarity with, that fits with my character, to be honest with you. I've tried to stay with progressive rock songs, although that, some people are going to challenge me on some of them. I get it. Probably already have had some. But that's the way it's the best I can do, right? I can't do any better than that. So, and then at the end, I will give some honorable mentions to a few bands that maybe didn't get in there, or a few songs that people think should have been in there but weren't in there, because I'm only doing 3 per group. If I was doing unlimited per group, there'd probably only be 6 to 7 bands, and then there might be an odd one here for this band or that band. But that's not the way we're doing it. And so without further ado, we're going to get underway with this. I don't want to drag this out like I did the first episode. So we're going to do this from 25th up to number 1, or from worst to first, from least to best, however you want to say it. And just remember, if I choose a song that you think isn't as good as some other song by that group, it's just my own personal taste. That song may have had some impact in my life at some point, and that's why it's up there, not because it's necessarily better than the other song. Also, these aren't necessarily my favorite songs by these bands either, even though they're progressive songs. There are some songs by these bands that, in the case of a couple of these bands, that I actually like more than any of these songs, but because they're not progressive songs, I didn't include them. Okay, let's get going. So the first one out is going to come from an album that we've already had, was last week's list, and that is this one, In the Court of the Crimson King. The song that we're doing today for number 25 is I Talk to the Wind. I love this song. It's my favorite song on this album, probably my favorite song by this band. So anyways, it's on here. Next up is, I'm going to put them over here so I don't mess them up. Is from this album, In the Hearing of Atomic Rooster. I really like this album a lot. There was one song on here that I knew had to be in this list, and that was Black Snake. It's kind of a creepy kind of song, but I like it a lot. It's got some progressive elements to it. It's probably a little bluesy as well. Some people might say it doesn't belong on the list. I beg to differ. I like it, so it's going in here. So from Atomic Rooster, In the Hearing of, we have number 24, Black Snake. Okay, number 23 comes from a band that some people think of as a progressive band, some people think of them as a blues band, or a blues pop band, but they do have some progressive elements to their music, and I've chosen a song called the title track, which is Even in the Quietest Moments. I've chosen that to be number 23 from Supertramp's Even in the Quietest Moments. Next up, number 22 is an album that we've already done once, and we're doing it again, Tab in the Ocean. This time we're doing the song Crying in the Dark, which I really like a lot. I think it's one of the better tracks on this album. Well, I think it's the best track on this album, to be honest, but it ain't far. The 4 tracks on this album are all pretty equal. I even like the American version of this one quite well too, which you get on this album. So next up is from a band that I don't listen to much. fact, I almost never listen to them, but I love this song. It's one of the best progressive rock songs of all time. Some people might not even view it as a progressive rock song, but I don't see how you can't view it. Dust in the Wind from, is this Freedom at Point Zero? No, I'm thinking of something else completely. I don't even know where my glasses is. At the Point of No Return is the name of this album. The song, of course, is Dust in the Wind, which on this album is, where is it? Am I missing something? Oh, there it is. It's in the middle, number 7. So probably the first track or the second track on the second side if you got it in vinyl. Yeah, so Point of No Return. I don't know why I wanted to bring in some poppy Jefferson Starship album. I don't know why that got in my brain, but it did. Okay, so next up is from, so I just gotta jumble this album just a little bit. So from this album here, which is Acquiring the Taste, this way, yeah, Acquiring the Taste is the name of this album. I know it's a kind of a interesting cover I get. The song I chose was Pantagruel's Naivete, the opening track. Love it. I think it's the best song on the album. But there's a lot of good stuff on this album. A lot of good stuff. Really good album. So that's number 20. Number 19 comes from, yes, once again, Dark Matter from IQ. This is the Sacred Sound, the opening track. This album is killer. 3 of my favorite 50 songs, progressive rock songs, are on this album. I think that's the only album like that. It's the only album with 3. Got a bit of a dryness going here. Okay, so next up we have also from this album is Wreck. I did say Pantagruel's Naivety was the best song on this album. I was wrong. It's Wreck. I like them both though. They were virtually the same. I just had to put them in there one way or the other. Both of them were going in, so I just put Wreck a little bit. I put it in there because I think I listened to a little bit of this album today. Actually, I listened to this entire album today, and I think that's just a little bit better today. So, but generally speaking, I like Pantagruel's Naivety a little bit better on the whole, but I just, not for today. Okay, next up is, I don't need these anymore, I don't think, is from this album, the Yes album, and this is Yours Is No Disgrace. Starship Troopers at one time would have been the song, but I think Yours Is No Disgrace has stood a little bit longer in time with me, so it's going to come in here at number 17. Number 16, coming from an album I know people have given me a lot of flack about this because I don't really care much for this album, but I do love some of the tracks on here. And my favorite progressive song on this album is Comfortably Numb. So that's coming in here at number 16 from Pink Floyd's The Wall. Next up, from Genesis, Nursery Crime. And there's a couple of other tracks on here I like a lot too, and actually if I was doing more than 3, they probably all would have been on, but because we're only doing 3, we're going for the Fountain of Salmacy here for Nursery Crime from Genesis at number 15. So number 14 comes from Aqualung. Could have put a half a dozen songs in a top list from this album, but the one I chose was Mother Goose. I always kind of like that little cutesy guitar part that goes on throughout this particular track. So Mother Goose from Aqualung from Jethro Tull, number 14. Sorry. Now we're down to the final 13 here. Another one from Genesis, Foxtrot, the album, and the song is Watchers of the Sky. Yeah, Supper's Ready's on this too. difficult to go against either, but I had about 10 Genesis songs that I could have put on here, and I had to only pick 3. So Watchers of the Sky is by a hair wins out here, coming in at number 13. Number 12 from Yes, again, Going for the One is the album. The song is Awaken. Yeah, it's a beautiful masterpiece of a song, one of the greatest. This isn't one of my favorite Yes albums. It's probably in the top 10 for sure, but that song is unbelievable. So Awaken by Yes from Going for the One, number 12. Number 11, coming again from Genesis. That's 3 Genesis in the last 5, I think, or 4. From Selling England by the Pound is Cinema Show. Yeah, probably my favorite progressive rock song by Genesis. Cinema Show. Hard to say though, because they have so many good songs. There's at least 5 or 6 more that easily could have made this list, but I had to choose 3 of them, and so I chose Cinema Show, which I think is their best. The other 2 songs, Fountain of Salmacy and Watchers of the Sky, I really like quite a bit. I just like this one just a little bit more. I think part of it is because I like this album just a little bit more too. Next up, and now we're into the top 10. And I know you're all saying, where's the rush? Well, it's coming, baby, it's coming. Starting right now. La Villa Strangiato from Rush, Hemispheres. Nudges out the trees here, but nudges out quite a bit of Rush stuff, but gets in here just because of the last couple of years. It's just been very front and center out there in a lot of YouTube sites and stuff, and the video that they have of Alex playing this really when he's young is fantastic. So La Villa Strangiato from Rush, Hemispheres, number 10. Number 9, almost didn't get this, almost forgot, because I don't really think of these guys at all as being progressive. In fact, I rarely think of them as progressive, but they do have a couple of songs that fit into this category, and the title track of this album, Just a Game, is definitely one of them, and so it's going to come in here at number 9 for the Just a Game album by Triumph. Next up, coming in at number 8 is another Tull. Yes, Jethro Tull is back again. A song that I've talked about in recent weeks, Hunting Girl, from Jethro Tull's Songs from the Wood. Such a absolute killer song. Some people might say it's hard rock, some people might say it's folk, some people might say it's progressive. I think it's got a little bit of everything about it, but to me it's a progressive song first, and so that's why it's here, coming in at number 8. Number 7 from this album, A Farewell to Kings by Rush. Yeah, Rush is getting in there now. There we go. And the title track. I tend to like title tracks for some reason. I didn't notice that until I started putting this together. I always like the title track. So A Farewell to Kings is the title track here on A Farewell to Kings by Rush, coming in at number 6. Okay, so these last, sorry, that was number 7. So these last 6 songs are all perfect. They're the only songs I have that are, I think they're the only songs I have that are 10s, perfect 10s. There may be some hard rock stuff that has it, but I can't think of any offhand. Yeah, I can think of one offhand, but I'm not going to mention it. But there are, I gave out 6 10s today to these 6 songs. So what's separating? When you're perfect, how can you be number 6 if you're perfect? It's just a matter of feeling today. So for the purpose of today, my feelings are, these are the ranking ways I'm going to put them. And there's barely anything separating. You could take the number 6 guy and put him up to number 1, or the other way around, and you wouldn't be at a place. For me, I wouldn't be at a place. So number 6 is Astronomy from this album, Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. It's not, the funniest thing is, it is my favorite song on this album, but there's a couple of other tracks I really like, but they're just not progressive, so I couldn't put them in the list. or at least I didn't think I could put them in the list. I didn't feel like they were progressive enough. I thought of them more as hard rock or quirky rock, maybe might be a better way to put it. But Astronomy from Secret Treaties from Blue Oyster Cult, number 6. Number 5, this is tough. I can't believe this song is going to be number 5. Time from Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, absolutely killer song, a perfect song. I love it, but for today it's going to be number 5. Number 4 from Peter Gabriel's 3, and that's Games Without Frontiers. For many, many years, this has been in my top 5 favorite songs. And not just my progressive 5 favorite, but my favorite overall. Number 4, or number 3, I said, it's a song called Life is a Long Song. I chose this album to represent it because I don't think it doesn't belong on any of the studio albums. I think it was just a one-off single, but I love it. It's my favorite Tull song, period. No comparison. I think it's a perfect song. I absolutely love it. I've been listening to it now for more than 30 years. I still love it, and I just represented it here by this album, which is Living in the Past, which is kind of a collection of their hits, I think. Number 2, back to Farewell to Kings again. Yes, we know where this is going. Xanadu. Probably the most listened to rock song in my history. I cannot think of a single song I've listened to more than this one. Yet it's not my favorite Rush song, but it's my favorite progressive Rush song. My favorite Rush song I'll get to when I do another list. Anyways, Farewell to Kings, Xanadu, Rush. And number 1, easily, I just couldn't see putting anything ahead of it, even though those other 5 were all perfect like this. I just couldn't see putting anything ahead of it. The song is an absolute masterpiece of a song. The whole album is a masterpiece of an album, but I had to choose one, and it was easily going to be this one. Close to the Edge from Yes, maybe the best progressive rock album and the best progressive rock song, but some people might say the best progressive rock band of all time. So I'm not going to argue any of that. I love this song, I love this album, and this is going to be number 1 today. So I'm just going to reiterate them all. I'm not going to bother with the albums because some of them have multiples and I don't feel like fiddling around. So we'll just reiterate them first to last. Number 1, Close to the Edge from Yes, from the same titled album, Close to the Edge. Number 2, Xanadu from Rush's A Farewell to Kings. Number 3, Life is a Long Song, kind of a one-off, but I put it on Living in the Past. Number 4, Games Without Frontiers from Peter Gabriel 3. Number 5, Time from Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Number 6, Astronomy from Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. Number 7, A Farewell to Kings from A Farewell to Kings by Rush. Number 8, Hunting Girl from Jethro Tull and Songs from the Wood. Number 9, Just a Game from the same album, Just a Game by Triumph. Number 10, La Villa Strangiato from Hemispheres by Rush. Number 11, Cinema Show from Genesis from Selling England by the Pound. Number 12, Awaken from Yes's Going for the One album. Number 13, Watchers of the Sky from Genesis Foxtrot album. Number 14, Mother Goose from Jethro Tull's Aqualung. Number 15, The Fountain of Salmacy from Nursery Crime from Genesis. Number 16, Comfortably Numb from Pink Floyd's The Wall. Number 17, Yours is No Disgrace from Yes's Yes album. Number 18 is Wreck from Acquiring the Taste by Gentle Giant. Number 19 is The Sacred Sound from IQ's Dark Matter. Number 20 is Pettigrew's Naivete from Gentle Giant's Acquiring the Taste album. Wow, that's a mouthful. Number 21 is Dust in the Wind from Kansas's Point of No Return. I almost did it again. I almost did it, but I didn't. Number 22, Crying in the Dark by Nectar from Tab in the Ocean. Number 23, Even in the Quietest Moments from Supertramp's Even in the Quietest Moments. Number 24, The Black Snake from Atomic Roosters, In the Hearing of. And last, and probably least for today, I Talk to the Wind from King Crimson's debut in the Court of the Crimson King. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please like and subscribe. Put the finish your list off down below, or put all your 50 if you want to do it. Do whatever you want down below. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Make mention of any band you want to make mention of in the comment section below. I am going to give you now just a few of the other songs that I had considered that weren't in the bands that had 3. Because if I did that, I'd spend an hour doing those because there's so many of them. Most of you know that I like those bands anyway, so you don't really need to know. So other songs that I had considered were the Red Queen, the Griffin 3 album, the song Checkmate from Griffin. From Alan Parsons was Sirius on the Eye of the Sky. I really like that. It's always been part of my need for speed. That's part of it. FM's Aldebaran from Black Noise. ELP's Tarkus from Tarkus. That's a great tune, eh? I don't know why. I just couldn't put it in. There's just no space for it, but I like it a lot. And from Journey's debut album, the first song on it, Off of a Lifetime, I put that in there. There are some other things that I could have put in there. There's a lot of new bands. Maybe I'll mention a few of them just so that you don't think I forgot about them. Bands like... yeah, wrong page. So bands like Palace and the Rise and Fall Part 1. That's pretty solid tune as well. Hawkwind, You Better Believe It, which is also from the Hall of the Mountain Grill as well. You've got a couple of songs off of In the Seventh House from IQ, like In the Seventh House. The Wrong Side of the Week. Both of those tunes are good, but I just don't think they were around long enough to really make mention of them. Blue Oyster Cult had Fire of Unknown Origin and After Dark, which I think are really good, kind of progressive sounding songs. There's a few others. Gabriel, I could have put in Rhythm of the Heat. There's lots of stuff from like Floyd and Genesis and Yes and Rush and Jethro Tull, and I even thought about putting in now I can't remember what it was, but anyways, those were some of the other things that I could have considered and wanted to make a mention of. I mean, there's probably other stuff that I'm just completely missing the boat here on, and I'll know about that when it's done. I could have put in Ronnie James Dio from Rainbow. I could have put in the song Stargazer, but I kind of think of that as metal. So if that, to me, if I didn't think of it first and foremost as progressive rock, then I wasn't putting it in here, no matter how much I liked it. So there you have it. That's my list. I'm sticking to it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back next Wednesday night. I'm going to do a part B, or another episode of 5 bands that changed their musical direction, an album that changed their musical direction. We did this one a few weeks ago, so I thought I would do a second one, and so we'll be back to do that. I hope you've had a good time. This was a long, involved one. I don't want to do too many of these, but take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.